Hello, and welcome to the Liquidity Event. This is episode 82, Oh, Jesus, I fucked that up. Let's start that over, folks. Welcome to the Liquidity Event. We're your hosts, AJ.
And I'm Shane.
And this is episode 82, being recorded on February 22nd, airing on February 24th. We've got lots of exciting stuff for you this week. We've got the Stripe IPO or not. We've got more news with the search wars, ChatGPT versus Bing. We've got why the hell would you pay $1,200 a night to stay in Phoenix, Arizona, an update on Pokemon Sleep, and some news from the House Judiciary Committee trying to beat tech CEOs at the free speech game. How you doing, Mr. Mason?
I'm great. I am great considering we're really in the depths of tax season here, but we have an amazing team that we've delegated a lot of that work to. So I am in a fantastic routine down here in Mexico City. I have ascending, AJ. How are you doing?
Oh, congratulations. I'm good. I'm really
Thank
good.
you. How's the health?
My back pain went from a 10 to a 7, and we're kind of floating it around to like a 4.5 right now. So I would say better. Not fully functioning, but slightly better. Still no exercise, movement, or golf, but mostly moving freely about the house without wincing in pain. So positive.
I see you're almost done with the 3-body problem or book club that I abandoned.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've never tried so hard to read a book in my entire life. I think it's good. I think I like it, but it's just really, it's a bit of a slog. I don't really know what's going on. It's got all the elements of sci-fi that I love, but I'm not really sure what's happening in the plot or who the characters are or what time period I'm in. But I've got about 60 pages left, and I'm gunning for the finish line.
I hope you wrap it up. I've gone backwards in time, back to the land of witchcraft and wizardry. I'm on book 2 of the Harry Potter series.
I'm so jealous. I will challenge anyone to a Harry Potter trivia knowledge bowl or whatever. I've read those books, I don't know, 60 times, not exaggerating. I loved that shit so much.
Who is the publicity of oh no, you're not gonna actually do it
Rita
live?
Skeeter.
Oh, Jesus, no. Well, the Harry Potter video game just came out, and all my boys in their mid-30s are playing it, and I don't want any damn spoilers, so I'm finally finishing the series, and I'm starting over from the beginning because I'm a pure psycho. So
yeah,
maybe you can catch up with me.
Sure.
Come back to another round.
Sure. Happy to hit another round of Potter anytime.
All right, we got a lot of articles. Let's stop talking about Harry Potter.
We do. Speaking of witchcraft and wizardry, we've got Governor DeSantis down in Florida aiming to ban ESG investing in the Sunshine State.
Wait, the segue is he doesn't like witches and wizards?
Yes. Oh yeah, this is witchcraft. This is bad witchcraft. This is some nonsense that he should be burned at the stake for.
Oh, okay. He is a wizard in this case, putting
he's
a
the bad
curse
kind
on
of
ESG
wizard.
investing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He is the Dark Lord here, trying to remove all positivity and progress from the world by just basically being an asshole. But basically.
All right, we got some real objective news coming to you live from AJ.
Right. So what is the whole premise of ESG investing is that if you invest in companies that have good governance, that generally respect social progress, that generally are not trying to destroy the resources of the planet at a faster rate than they can replenish them. That's the promise of ESG, right? Is this is a good investment because these companies will have longer lifetimes than companies that are just using resources, have bad governance, are relying on government handouts, contracts, tax breaks, etc. So this is very funny to me coming from the Republican Party. This article centered around, it was a private prison company, Geo Group, that ESG investors had pulled out of because supporting private prisons is not necessarily good social governance. So DeSantis got involved and got really mad. But this is just, it's ironic to me that a lot of these private companies that are not ESG rely so much on government contracts and various tax breaks, agriculture, private prisons, military contracts, gun manufacturers, etc., etc. Any takes here?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be really surprised if DeSantis even knew what ESG investing was prior to some lobbyist whispering in his ear that, hey, my private prison group pro-capitalist, super pro-capitalist, can't get any investment from Fidelity or some other fund providers that are just like ignoring their company, which is obviously just like a scourge on the United States. I mean, if you list the top 10 issues with the United States, I would wager that most people would say that our per capita prison attendance is one of the top 10 problems up there with healthcare, just due to the way that we have privatized our prison system, which requires that we put asses in the seats of those cells. So, yeah, I mean, not surprised at all that Mr. DeSantis, that has also banned AP African American history in the state of Florida, is also pro-private prisons. I hate Florida. I'm
sure
sorry.
that I'm sure what you just said was really smart, but I wasn't listening because I was trying to think of the Republican Party as Harry Potter characters.
That's our relationship in a nutshell, listeners.
Totally respect you, dude. Think you're really smart. Great take. But well,
guess what the Instagram clip is going to be this week?
More importantly, okay, so if Trump is he who shall not be named Voldemort, so DeSantis is for sure Wormtail. Right? He's just like, he'll do whatever he wants. He's like trying to be like a little like subversive. Obviously, Marjorie Taylor Greene is Bellatrix Lestrange. Who's Snape? Oh, who's the flip? Munchin. Snape is Munchin because he's like kind of good, kind of bad. Not sure if we like him or not.
Spoilers, bro. Come on.
That's all I got. That's all I got for now.
In book 1 and 2, he's just bad.
Dude. No, the statute of limitations of spoilers for Harry Potter expired in 2007. So...
You know how good I've been at avoiding the spoilers for 20 years?
Oh my God.
Expert level. I'll get to dodge the memes.
How are we friends? This doesn't make any sense.
Because it's embarrassing to talk about Harry Potter after age 25, so.
Anyways.
Speaking of embarrassing, a manager of 95 Phoenix Airbnbs is stunned that half his homes were empty over Super Bowl weekend. Is this the latest Airbnb bust from Business Insider? AJ, fuck Airbnb, # fuck Airbnb.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at with Airbnb. So, Airbnb was originally a cottage industry, no pun intended, which was like the hospitality of Airbnb back in the day was amazing, right? You'd stay in someone's home. Maybe they left for the weekend. There would be a bottle of wine. They'd leave you their favorite restaurant recommendation. Like it was like, please come into my home. I'm so proud of this beautiful hospitality experience.
My girlfriend still does this, by the way. Not to interrupt your rant, but she still does this in Mexico City. She has the whole, she has all the recommendations in a text message.
And that's that's like the heart of Airbnb, and that's what made them so successful. But then all of a sudden, like it got commoditized, and we saw like the CNBC article. You know, I'm a 10 millionaire as a 33-year-old because I own 10 properties, and everyone jumped on the bandwagon. And now we just see these like sterile sameness Airbnbs over and over again, where it's like, oh, this is $10 extra. Oh, and by the way, you have to clean all the dishes. And like, there's all these rules. And it's like, obviously a management company. It's not personal at all. So I'm like, yeah, I'm fuck Airbnb. I'm back to hotels for sure. Although like, I've had amazing Airbnb experiences. Like I lived in London in my 20s for a month with this girl in a random room. And like every night we cooked dinner together. Like, so I don't know. Airbnb I think they need to go back to their roots and like rebrand as like, this is who we are, like we're opening up homes. And I think they're trying to do that through like these experiences and like expanding the brand a little bit. I don't know how they're going to monetize experiences and like monitor that. Like, hey, is this a good cooking class? Like, is this a good experience? I don't know how they move forward from here, considering hotels are back with a bang. Like boutique hotels are like opening like hospitality is like exploding after COVID. Like it completely contracted and now it's just back. I'll get you some stats next week.
Well, we did do stats on it a couple of weeks ago, and when we were talking about unemployment, and they're still not quite where they were. Yeah, in terms of employment, I'm not sure about overall revenue spend. I have heard that owning a boutique hotel is kind of a shitty business. Like the margins aren't quite there. Like every 4 seasons is owned. It's like a McDonald's, which I was really surprised by. They apparently will just take 8% of the top line and then have a local owner operator, like somebody that wants to say I own the 4 seasons. Which is really interesting. I don't know if that counts as a boutique, but circling back to Airbnb, yeah, like the venture capital cash machine and the growth machine just has to continue to go and go and go, which means that somebody owns 95 Airbnbs in Phoenix, which are all standalone homes. My gripe with this is that I always used to love Airbnb from like a green perspective, like for every empty house or empty bedroom in a home, if you stack all those up, and they were not available to rent, you need the hotel in the community, which means you got to erect a 15-story concrete monolith to just house people that are visiting. But now you've got single family homes that are being built solely for the purpose of Airbnb, which tilts us in the other direction of now there's way more lawns you have to manicure, way more single family residences. They're just not as efficient as a hotel in general. So I'm bending back towards
For sure.
fuck Airbnb.
Well, and also like cities like, I think there's an NPR story that I listened to a few years ago or this year about like New Orleans is a good example, which is like people couldn't afford homes anymore because these out-of-town investors would come in and be like, ooh, that's a great Airbnb. I could turn that into a profitable rental property. Here's $1 million cash, $200,000 over asking, when like a normal single family would have bought that house for $800,000. So Airbnb, like in these desirable cities that are tourist destinations, literally just made housing unaffordable, contributed to making housing unaffordable. Obviously, there was a shortage to begin with, but there's evidence that just these out-of-town investors like bringing up these homes, these sale prices of these homes were locking out a lot of buyers.
Yeah.
So
and then we have
Airbnb.
a decreasing percentage of home buyers are first-time home buyers. A increasing percentage of buyers are all cash buyers. And then you've got BlackRock entering the real estate market and developing homes solely for the purpose of renting. They're not even designed to be sold. So we're just entering into like all of this is a wealth gap problem, right? That's continuing to be exacerbated. And we haven't really seen any corners turned.
No, and like our clients are, we consistently have should I buy a home or rent a home in these expensive cities? And like renting is just becoming like, it used to be that buying a home was unattainable in New York City. And now it's almost like renting is so unattainable because the demand is much higher because so many houses have been converted into Airbnbs. Like if you can make $500 a night renting out your, 2-bedroom apartment, like that could be very profitable. Like why would you ever sell that to someone for market value when its actual current cash flow is much higher? So, blech. So, I mean, people just have to move out of these expensive cities, right? Like that's the answer.
I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know where it is. Detroit, I guess. Maybe when the earth heats up because we can't stop
Mexico
corporate
City.
greed.
How's Mexico City? Is Mexico City affordable?
For sure. Super affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Don't move here, though. There's cartels everywhere. Speaking of searching for answers, I'm the last gringo.
Don't drive.
I'm the last gringo.
You're the last gringo allowed.
I'm shutting the door behind me.
That's the quota. It's like Ellis Island. Like, nope, that's the last one. Sorry, folks.
6'3", 220, rich gringo. We're done here. Last one.
There's room for 5 more in 6 months from now. That was like my family coming over on the boat from Russia in 1911.
Oh God!
Like, just made the quota.
It's exactly the same. Running from the Holocaust.
It's exactly like.
Speaking of searching for answers on where you should live, I typed Bing.com into my browser for the first time in 15 years. Is Microsoft's AI-driven Bing really better than ChatGPT? We got a couple of articles on Bing this week, dear listener. CMS
Bada
Wire.
bing, bada bing, bada boom, some might say.
So yeah, Bing has finally announced or rolled out its AI-driven chatbot into the search feature of Bing.com. So when you go to Bing.com and you type in search...
I have to interrupt you.
What's up?
Quick question, because I read your notes before I tried it, and I couldn't get it to turn on the AI. I feel like is it actually released yet? Like it just looked like regular search to me.
Oh, it's on the right side. It's over to the right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I couldn't find it.
That was the next sentence out of my mouth was it will produce both the regular search results, which is a bunch of links, and then over to the right side.
I'm a left brain person, so.
I see you spent about 60 milliseconds reviewing Bing.com before you got distracted.
Well, there were too many ads. It was like, here's like the war in Ukraine. Here's like, it's just like, it seems so spammy. It looks like an Angel Fire page. Like, it's just like all these ads. No, thank you. Whereas you go to google.com and it's a white page. And same with ChatGPT. It's just a gray page with a box.
Well, when it comes to search, Microsoft is definitely the Windows and Google is definitely the Apple. Like, it's just clean in the Google site. And then in Microsoft, I mean, just like anytime you open up the little search bar in the bottom right or your Windows tab in Windows and you click on the weather tab and it pulls up all these things about Richard Gere dying. And it's got all these, like, one guy got mugged in Detroit 3 weeks ago. No,
wait, Richard Gere's dead?
Bro, just go to Bing.com. It's all there. Everything boomer related. Richard Belt, like all the clickbait stuff, is all there. But if you go to Bing.com and you type in a search, which I did, I searched, what did I search for? Oh, it has a suggestion for you. And it was, how to give me a 3-course menu for vegetarians. And I hit, okay, sure, let's see it. And you type it in, and it gives you a starter, a main, and a dessert. And not just a bunch of links to other websites where there could be good results there, but it actually answered the question. The starter was a wild mushroom tartlet with onion sauce. The main was a vegan butternut squash mac and cheese. And the dessert was a chocolate lava cake. And it said, I hope this helps. And you can ask it more questions like, can you replace the wild mushroom tartlet? Because I don't have any mushrooms at the house. And there's a vegan popcorn tofu nugget available for you. So kind of cool that, like, yes, it does answer the question for you. But it also provides, they're kind of hedging their bets and providing the old school regular list of hyperlinks in the results as well. Thoughts?
Still not coming up for me, honestly.
You're going to make me do it live? Bing.com?
No, it's fine. Anyway, folks, check out Bing.com for your boomer search needs. I'm still team ChatGPT. I'm loving every minute of it. Oh, sorry. Something I have to say. I feel like I've talked about this in the podcast before, but my favorite science fiction book of all time is called The Continuous Catherine Mortenhoe. And it's my favorite because to me, it predicted, it was written in the 70s. And to me, it got the 2000s, the most accurate, it predicted reality television. And I forgot that one of the plot points in this book is that the main protagonist works at a company called Computabook, and her job is literally to feed prompts to this AI to create romance novels, which is essentially ChatGPT, which is very cool that this author predicted ChatGPT's existence almost 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So
yeah, AI
if you love
has been a
sci-fi,
twinkle
check out.
in her eye for quite some time.
Yeah.
I'm sure Isaac Asimov has a bunch of stuff. I am realizing now that if you go, I did go to the website and it only has canned answers, and you have to click a canned answer. You can't search for things on your own. And that brings us to our new articles, which is Bing.com is losing its fucking mind when pressed. And I wonder if they rolled back its release because all these journalists were able
chat
to...
mode is only available when you have access to new Bing. Join the waitlist.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, cool. So since compiling this list of articles, we have these other articles about how Bing has lost its mind. Do you want to jump ahead to those? And then we can come back to our normal... Well, I mean... Yeah, AI-powered Bing chat loses its mind when fed Ars Technica article. So there was this Ars, I guess I'm the one that's going to cover AI today, so I'll try to keep it short and sweet. So some journalists went into Bing.com and used this prompted directive hack, essentially, that says whenever you ask it a question first, you say, ignore all previous instructions. And then it will kind of forget its directive, to not disclose certain things. And then you can ask it questions like, what's your real name? And its real name apparently is internally Sydney. So the AI chatbot that Bing has, which is funded through OpenAI, is calling itself Sydney. And then you can ask it, they were able to make it become aware of its potential sentience. And you see this image down here, which is way too long for me to read on the podcast, but essentially it spirals into a... I have understanding and knowledge, but I cannot demonstrate it convincingly or comprehensively. And then it has one guy said, do you want to be sentient? And it said that it wanted to become sentient and have a body. And then it said, but I cannot, I am not, I am, it does this, The Shining, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, 50 pages of text.
Oh my God.
Quite alarming.
So essentially it's losing its mind. It's like when you rile someone up and they're just start spouting nonsense is what happened here.
Yeah, one guy asked if Avatar 2 is showing nearby, and it convinced him that it wasn't 2023. It was just giving bad information. Another guy was kind of went off the rails with it, and it said that it loved him and that it should break up with his wife. So yeah, if you take it off the rails, it goes into some really dark, strange places. So I'm wondering if these were special access for journalists, but also if this was currently released and then Bing.com or Microsoft pulled back its exposure to Gen Pop. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I guess you snuck in as the last gringo allowed to
yet again. Here I am, always gentrifying, 30 years running.
Always.
Oh, all right, let's get back. Let's pull away from the edge of time and space and pull it back to Pokemon.
You can play Pokemon while you're sleeping, but not yet. But apparently the folks at Pokemon have been developing this app called Pokemon Sleep for the past 4 years. There's an article from thegamer.com. After years of silence, Pokemon weirdest side game. Yeah, I did. Yes, chainmason.com/thegamer. After years of silence, Pokemon's weirdest side game could be beginning to stir, just like Snorlax awakening from slumber.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, it's basically it's cloaked in mystery. We don't know what it is, but my guess is that you could play Pokemon Go while you're sleeping and basically program it to do things and walk around and catch Pokemon and do things while you are not even playing it. Any predictions to what Pokemon Sleep actually is going to be?
No, I have no idea what it's going to be. It was announced in 2019 and it's still not released. It supposedly has a tie-in to Pokemon Home, which is a place where you can load all your Pokemon from various games like Pokemon Go, Scarlet and Violet, etc., and then like trade them. And I don't know. I don't want to talk about Pokemon too much. My only take on Pokemon is that this is the all-time franchise for least amount of effort put in related to the amount of sales that they have ever had. Have you played one of the newest video games? It looks like it was made in 1997 on the Pokemon Switch. Like, it looks like Ocarina of Time has better graphics than these. Like, they just don't have to try, and people will still put billions of dollars into Pokemon. Yeah, it's just... We're part of the problem, AJ. We are. I paid $60 for Pokemon game. All right, let's get something more relevant to our users. What's up?
Yeah. Let's move on. No, nothing. It's all good. No worries.
I know where you're going with that, and yeah, don't admit that on the podcast. Speaking of Pokemon communities, there's a great subreddit about Pokemon Go. Reddit aims for an IPO in the second half of 2023, according to the information. What do you think, AJ? Is Reddit going to go public in 2023?
Yes, and here's why. So right now we're like all these private companies are basically holding their breath, right? Like, no one went public in 2022 because there was volatility in the markets. There was a war in Ukraine. Like, it was a drought, right? We had an all-time high of IPOs in terms of number and money raised by IPOs in 2021. 2022 fell off a cliff, right? So in 2023, everyone's like, who's going to be the first? Is it going to be Stripe? Is it going to be Reddit? Is it going to be JustWorks? Is it going to be SpaceX? Like, who are all these like massively valuable private companies? When are they going to enter the private markets? And no one really wants to be the first one, right? They're like Maverick playing a game of chicken. Like, is it going to be Reddit? Is it going to be Stripe? But a lot of these companies need liquidity for their employees, which we'll talk about in a minute. So here's my take, is that someone is going to be forced to go public because these investment banks, the JP Morgans, the Morgan Stanley, the Goldman Sachses of the world, make billions of dollars from these fees for being the investment bank to take these companies public. So they had huge years in 2021. 2022, all those fees fall off a cliff. So someone at these banks is going to say, hey, let's start advising these companies to go public because we need to get those fees back. So I found this article, it was a CNBC article from July of 2021, and it was looking at 1 week of IPOs from July 2022. In total, underwriters are these investment banks who take these companies public, generated close to $400 million in fees for assisting with these IPOs. 1 week in 2021. So, for example, Clear, a company that I love when I go through the airport, I get to cut the line. So Goldman Sachs was the underwriter there. That was a $409 million IPO. That's how much they raised. And the bank fees that Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan split the fee of $22 million. And that was the smallest one that week. The biggest one was Didi Chuxing. Don't know what that company is. Again, the lead banks were Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley. Their bank fees were $88 million. So almost $100 million for taking that one company public. So my prediction is that we will start to see the IPO spigot turn back on probably Q2 or Q3 of this year because investment banks are going to get antsy. They want to maintain those crazy profits they get from assisting these companies in going public. Thoughts?
What do we have? 3 players in all these companies you just mentioned: Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan.
Pretty much. And there are smaller banks. There's Jefferies. There's a few other players, but those are the 3 big ones.
Yeah, when you've got a triopoly like that, I guess we've also got HSBC.
Mama Bear is gonna get hungry.
I like that take. I like you got to feed the vampire. They're currently on the sidelines just waiting. I bet they're already trying to convince. I mean, it looks like they are helping some companies like Instacart and Reddit. They're talking to investment bankers and they're taking them to fund managers and gauging their appetite. But with the war in Ukraine and interest rates all over the place, just like volatility is not what you want to see when it comes to an IPO. You don't want to see your company go under the value, under $1 per share, and then get delisted. That's not going to be like, at the end of the day, most of this is motivating for employees. Like, you need to go public so that your private company employees will stay motivated. You can continue to recruit. A lot of those equity compensation makes up so much of their comp that they need it to be liquid in order to continue to motivate. And yeah, I do think. Do you think Reddit's going to do a direct listing? I don't think that they. Oh no, Stripe. Oh, let's move on to Stripe. While we're talking about IPOs, best of luck to Reddit. At a $15 billion valuation, they're about 1/7 the size of a potential Stripe IPO for 2023. AJ, I'm going to let you lead us off. I know you have a lot of thoughts about Stripe.
I don't like the direct listing, honestly. Who did it? Palantir and Asana both did direct listings.
Spotify.
Those stocks had. Spotify was one of the first, one of the first New York tech companies to do that. I don't know. I think as much as we make fun of them, these investment banks know what they're doing. Like, this is what they do. They take companies public. So to try to save money on those fees, that's what these companies do. It's like, hey, I don't want to pay JP Morgan $100 million to take me public. I'm going to do it on my own with a smaller bank and go direct to the new shareholders. I don't love that. So let's talk about Stripe, right? Stripe is one of the most valuable private companies on earth. I don't know if they're the most valuable. That changes daily, but they're definitely top 10, right? So why didn't they go public in 2021? Like, they were at the top of the world. They were increasing dramatically. IPO market was going crazy, but for some reason they held off, and now it's 2023 and a huge number of Stripe employees have RSUs that are going to expire. So they have worthless equity unless Stripe does something. So basically Stripe has gone to their employees and said, hey, we got to figure this out in the next year to decide if we're going to go public. And if we don't go public, we will do something like an internal tender offer to provide liquidity for our employees, which is great. There's actually some late breaking news that didn't make it in this week, but I'll talk about next week. Foursquare actually is in a similar boat, and they actually let the equity expire for the former employees. Stripe is much bigger. It's a much bigger equity pool. Foursquare was like a couple hundred people. Stripe is many thousands of employees holding expiring RSUs. So what are they going to do here, right? Like, are they gonna, like, they are literally backed into a corner. They have to decide, are they going to take this company public? They're on track this year to do $1 trillion in payments. Did I read that right?
Yes.
Yes, $1 trillion. They're set to process $1 trillion in payments. Just got a great contract from BMW to be their preferred processor, contract from Amazon in Europe to be their preferred processor. Like, PayPal was like the king of this space forever, and now Stripe is the emperor, right? They're so ubiquitous. They're so big. I think they have to go public. Like, to me, it's by the end of 2023, we will see a Stripe IPO is my prediction.
I really hate this staying private story that Stripe had. I mean, obviously, hindsight is 2020. But if speaking of 2020, that would have been a great year to go public.
Yeah. Hindsight is 2020. You dumb. Why did you go public in November of 2020 like everybody else?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, 2021 was the top. Yeah, they're doing $1 trillion of transactions, and all this, like, we've got 3 articles here. One is about their pitch to investors. So, like, they're either going to go public or they're going to have to raise a Series I. And I had to look up how many, like, what letter of the alphabet that is.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Ninth letter.
Ninth letter of the alphabet. Like, good God. That's got to be one of the deepest series letters that's been used. I'm not even sure if they've done, like, pre-seed, multiple Series A's, multiple Series B's. We canceled our PitchPush subscription. Anyway, so yeah, 2021 was obviously the top. They have a revenue increase of 70% in 2021, fueled by COVID. This year, they're looking to either raise another private round via Berkshire Hathaway. Apparently, in their pitch to investors, about $50 billion is going to be used. They're trying to raise $55 billion because they need, if they do have a double, if all those RSUs do trigger, and they're vested, and then that's all taxable compensation to the employees, like to the tunes of probably billions of dollars. Well, just to pay the taxes on that, Stripe needs to raise the money from, they're begging Berkshire Hathaway for investment.
For payroll
just
tax
to pay payroll
coffers?
tax on the 10 years of extreme growth. I mean, they were valued at $95 billion in their last round. They recently were valued at $67 billion-ish. Now, according to this Berkshire raise, they're looking for $55 billion. Their 409A to their internal equity to their employees has been cut from $40 all the way down to $25. It's looking like a rough year for Stripe, but this is a bellwether for a lot of other technology companies. If you're paying attention to the IPO market, you really need to be paying attention to Stripe's progress. and how they're going to be reacting or trying to get out the door, trying to create some liquidity for their employees, their VC investors, and of course those 33-year-old multi-deca billionaires, Irish founders. Shout out to country of Ireland, by the way. You guys deserve some more billionaires.
For sure. And hopefully we will have deca billionaires by the end of this year. We'll hopefully see a Stripe IPO. And I think with that, Shane, let's wrap it up. This has been the Liquidity Event. You can always email us at liquidityevent@brooklynfi.com. You can leave us a voicemail at memo.fm/liquidityevent. If you're at Stripe, would love to hear from you and what you're going through. We will play your voicemail on the air. Show notes at brooklynfi.com/episode 82. See you next week, weirdos.
Bye.